Land and sky. In Wichita, they have a common bond because this is the place where a cowtown hub of Western expansion became the launch point for man's conquest of the skies. The men and women who spurred that growth used to be called pioneers. Now we refer to them as entrepreneurs, visionaries whose efforts make our world a better place. One of those people who has made a real impact in Wichita is Steve Clark. Whether he's transforming our landscape or navigating at 30,000 feet, his life story has been written large in both land and sky. Stephen Clark was born in Wichita on February 12, 1942, the child of Harrington, Kansas businessman Layman Clark and Fern Lingenfelter Clark, a music professor at McPherson College. Following his parents' divorce when he was 9, Steve spent 11 years in Oklahoma City with his mom, where he excelled in academics, wrestling, and football. Meanwhile, he kept close ties to his father, who had entered the real estate business in Wichita.
My father had a few little rental properties, and I can remember being 10 or 12 years old and helping him lay floor tile. And matter of fact, one time he used to install air conditioners. That was the old days where he had an air conditioner that goes through the window. And I had a screwdriver. I must have been around 12, 14 years old. And I stuck that screwdriver somehow into a 220 outlet and just fried the end of the screwdriver. Luckily, it had a plastic handle on it, though.
Through his father, Steve got his first opportunities to try his hand at real estate, becoming the youngest person to receive a real estate license in the summer of his 18th year. When he was 20, Steve's mother passed away, and he made Wichita his home.
Enrolled at WSU. And got in a fraternity out there, the Phi Delta fraternity, and it really was one of the best things that ever happened to me.
Steve also continued to learn and grow in his father's business, developing a deep appreciation for the energy and devotion his father gave to his work.
Real estate, I always had an affinity for it. A way is to make more money than real estate, but you got to take a lot more risk too. So I think if someone's disciplined and works hard, why, I've always said it's a good way to get rich slowly.
In 1967, Steve married Judy Brashears, a classmate from Wichita State. At that time, he was in training to become an Air Force fighter pilot and would eventually achieve the rank of captain. It was the beginning of a lifelong love of flying. Over the years, he and Judy had a daughter, Shannon, and a son, Stephen Jr. Together, they built a family, a home, and an ever-expanding business, until a car accident tragically took Judy's life in 1989. Steve lost his father the following year, and for a time would raise his kids alone. Then in 1993, he married Becky McCulpin Goward. Together, Steve and Becky enjoy their 4 children and 2 grandchildren. Over the years, Steve Clark built a career that spanned everything real estate, from appraiser to property manager to developer of over 5 million square feet of property. Along the way, Steve helped to found the first and largest Godfather's Pizza franchise and continued to greatly expand the family business, which son Stephen joined in 2009. With interest in more than 30 states, Clark Investment Group has over 150 operating entities and is the largest supplier of private equity capital to the self-storage industry. Greatly recognized and awarded for his expertise, Steve has given a great deal back to his profession, conducting seminars throughout North America and even writing a nationally syndicated column for a business journal. Friends and colleagues recognize his natural talents.
He's just one of the most handsome guys I've ever seen. He's one of those guys who, when you first meet him, you think, why can't I look like this guy?
I think his reputation is that he's fair, honest, forthright, and is smart.
I think Steve is a person who has high expectations of himself, but also raises, I think, the performance of everyone around him. I think Steve's a natural leader.
Someone who is always appropriately prepared, and in most cases has taken the extra step to be sure that he understands the topic at hand better than anyone else in the room.
When you have Steve involved in a project, It's kind of a synergistic effect, I think, you know? 1 + 1 = 3 with Steve.
As far-reaching as Steve Clark's business interests have become, his charity has always been focused at home. There is a long list of organizations to which he has given his support, many a part of his alma mater.
He served with distinction on the foundation board, was president of the foundation board, and also heavily involved in the Alumni Association, and also from the Wichita State's Board of Trustees was given their highest award.
And has given himself in many ways to the School of Business and to make sure that real estate education was advanced at the university, to see that they developed programs that would allow other people to have opportunities like he's had.
We wanted to get someone on the Board of Regents for the university that represented the university. We volunteered Steve, and he knew the time commitment it was going to take, and it was a lot. It was a big effort, but yet he willingly did it and jumped in and really helped the university by doing that.
Steve has also had a tremendous impact on Wichita's outstanding YMCAs.
Steve led our last capital campaign for the new downtown Y, which is huge. It's about a 2-year process. It takes a lot of time, but it also takes someone with the credibility that Steve has to ensure that you're going to have a successful campaign, and Steve did an outstanding job.
When I look at Steve, I see a guy who continues to say, well, what can I do for other people? How can I continue to improve my community, help those around me? He's just a quality guy.
For all the success Steve has had, he's an extremely humble and very gracious and very appreciative person.
His commitment to the university, his commitment to the YMCA and various other charity boards that he's served on here in the city has been a tremendous thing for the city.
He could have lived anywhere he wanted to live, but he chose Wichita to be his home, and I think that speaks volumes.
Beginning with his time in the Air Force, Steve still has an enduring love of flight.
Steve is a very accomplished pilot, and certainly has gone one step beyond where I would ever go, and that is that he flies aerobatics on a regular basis.
He's very cautious when he flies, and except when he's in the acrobat plane. And I'm not going up in that plane with him.
There's no greater feeling of freedom and maneuverability than to be able to take an airplane that's capable of it and being able to maneuver that airplane in 3 dimensions. It's a very exhilarating experience.
Like the reflections you see at Waterfront, Steve Clark's most recent contribution to the growth of Wichita, land and sky weave the blended canvas of his life. And like the waterfront, his work is leaving an indelible impression on the life of our community. One that paints an impressive portrait of what is endlessly possible when a truly entrepreneurial spirit finds a place to soar.